Seeds to prehistoric
high-tech virtual reality game.
Tickets at participating Giant Eagle locations.
There existed a small building just outside the entrance of lost Kennywood. A location so unassuming and tucked away that nobody at the time bothered to commit it to film. Within this building was something unlike anything else in the old-fashioned amusement park. People sit in rows of black seats, wearing sleek silver goggles and headgear. When the seats were filled, the lights inside dimmed. Seconds later, fantastical lights and sounds filled the pavilion. Beyond all logic and reason a small child could possess, the excited voices from the participants inside suggested that this building was a portal to someplace magical. And magical it was, for when the Kennywood ride attendant placed the goggles in front of my eyes, I was taken on an unforgettable adventure. Little did I know that when I had left the park that day, I'd been served ham on rye for the first and last time. My name is Record. Part of the reason I do this is to give forgotten memories another shot at life, a life independent from my own. I just wish I had a better memory. It's times like this that I give thanks to my uncanny ability of knowing someone who happens to be involved with something I'm personally interested in. If not for the fact that I've become friends with a former Kennywood maintenance man, meticulous enough to remember the otherwise unmemorable name of an attraction from 2 decades ago, I'd never have discovered the name Ham on Rye Technologies. In the year 2000, a patent was filed by Ham on Rye Technologies owner Randy Sprout and vice president Susan Sprout for an interactive virtual reality performance theater entertainment system. There is a lot to unpack from just that alone. Interactive virtual reality. From my memory of playing the theater, I remember having full range of vision, as well as some kind of simple controller, so that all checks out. Performance theater is where things get interesting.
I'm Angela. I worked at the Ham on Rye Virtual Reality Theater for, I guess about a year and a half from when it started at my location in Webster, Texas, until I got married and moved away. So, yeah.
All right. The video I'm working on is actually like 90% done. The reason I found you is because I was searching on Twitter. I was like, how would I promote the video with a hashtag, you know? Because if you search Ham on Rye, all you get is results for like the Ham on Rye novel. Like that's all that comes up. So yeah. I was like, how do I promote it? So I'm like, okay, let me try hashtag Ham on Rye VR. And then I just searched Twitter for the heck of it. And one of the only results on the entire website was you.
Funny.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, how have I've been working on this video for over a year now, and I am just now seeing you. I'm gonna have to recontextualize a whole lot of stuff from that's been edited months ago. But it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot better because of it. Do you remember the goggles having 360-degree view, or was it just a TV, like on your eyes?
No, it was really just a TV. Yeah, they're kind of like blinders, so it forces perspective to the front. So it's not like you're trying to, look out the side or anything. So
okay, I don't remember what I read, but I think there's some sources that have that like wrong, because there's even in the patent it says 360-degree motion, but that might be embellishing.
Embellishing might be a nice way to say it, but I just don't think that they understood where we were going to go with it. Right? They're thinking it's on your head. It's tight. You're like I said, it's forced perspective to the beginning. You can turn your head however you want, but you're only going to see the same thing.
Got it. Okay, well that's very good info. The game that played in my session was some kind of Western-style adventure featuring a 3D animated Prospector character, who from now on I'll be referring to as Prospector Jim. Jim was not the only character in this performance. Somehow a Kennywood ride attendant appeared in and spoke directly through the game.
I don't know what that is.
Boy, don't step in that.
When they introduced it, how did they describe the job description? What was your role?
So funny, I actually didn't really know a lot about it going in. I was a theater major at the time, and my theater instructor was like, "Hey, you people." He picked people and was like, "Hey, there's going to be this job acting gig." So that's how it was presented. It was they wanted to hire actors. They weren't looking to hire other type of people because you had to be able to do that in addition to the other roles.
The primary object of the present invention is to provide an interactive virtual reality performance theater wherein there exists three-way communication amongst and between participants, live and/or pre-recorded performers, and the virtual reality environment. Importantly, the interaction of the participants and the performers with each other and the virtual reality environment determines, to some extent, both the content and the ultimate outcome of the performance. During my session, I found myself riding in a minecart down a rickety track with Prospector Jim. The minecart began to tumble out of control, and Jim was launched onto a precarious ledge. I remember the Kennywood ride attendant appearing from off-screen and shouting at me to reach out and save Jim, or else he'll surely fall to his death. Struggling between this intense veil of immersion and my own childish instincts, I reached out with one hand and mashed whatever buttons I could with my other hand in a desperate attempt to save this man's life. Whether it was my own indecisiveness or the collective failure of every other participant in the theater, I'll never know. Prospector Jim fell from that ledge, and to this day, I've never forgiven myself. For this experience to stand out so vividly from a memory so distant speaks volumes to the effectiveness of the Rye Theater. I would not experience anything even remotely similar until 2016, when I could use newly released consumer VR for the first time. That's well over a decade since I last saw Jim's eyes disappear over that cliffside. The Rye Theater was not only ahead of its time, but it created a cooperative live performance that modern consumer VR can only sort of emulate.
I'm a skinny in the game. It's like shows me a guy, and I'm like a skinnier. I'm like a twink in here.
So it's shocking to me just how little about this innovative technology was documented or recorded. It also doesn't help that today's search results for virtual reality theater are stuffed to the brim with cut-and-paste modern content. Seeing as these performances aren't just simple video files, there likely wasn't any easy way to record them back in the early 2000s. But surely, short demonstrative clips or images of the games must exist somewhere, right? The electric bill's going to be through the roof this month. The archived website is only partially intact. Many of the most important links lead to blank pages. though there is a lot of interesting new information. We manufacture and install the attractions at theme parks, malls, entertainment locations, resorts, zoos, themed restaurants, cinema multiplexes, and provide mobile units for fairs, carnivals, and special events. I find it fascinating that they were presumably installed at all these sorts of locations, yet images of the theater are similar in quality and quantity to that of Mothman. Where was your theater? Where did you work at?
It's in Webster, Texas. It was at the Putt Putt Family Fun.
It's Putt Putt Funhouse, starring Velocity, Spin Zone bumper cars, laser tag, battle zone, and mini bowling, featuring putt putt golf, bumper boats, 3D motion theater, rock climbing, and game room, plus great food and ice cream from the Funhouse Cafe. Reserve your birthday party or group play today.
An older gentleman, a retired teacher, founded this place, and he took it from like a putt-putt place to like this expansive family area. So there's, arcade and different kinds of rides and go-karts and, of course, putt-putt and tons of other stuff. So at some point, he invested in getting a VR theater. He had gone to see it at a theme park and really liked it. And so he invested in it. And it was the first non-theme park location.
Ham on Rye also creates all content for the patented attraction with a growing library of software game titles. This is the real kicker. These games were all developed in-house by the company itself. As far as we know, they all lived and died within the walls of Ham on Rye Technologies. The only hope of finding any remnant of the games is by finding a former employee, and this next paragraph paints a pretty vivid picture of who to ask first. This innovative company is managed by the business and technology leader, Randy Sprout, Harvard MBA and Cornell Master of Electrical Engineering, and is driven by carefully selected professionals and artists in engineering, software content creation, and marketing. If we can get Randy, we might just have a chance. Do you remember what those games were?
The only one I remember is Showdown at Shifty's.
Was that a Wild West one by chance?
It's a Wild West one, yes. And there was a pirate one, and the pirate one was actually my favorite. And I wonder if I could think about it to figure out what that game was, because I used to have that song stuck in my head forever. The one that was at the end of the thing. So Pirates, Showdown at Shifty's, Haunted something spooky.
This is very exciting for me. You might not see it, but I'm giddy with excitement. This is the first time. This is the most information about the theater I've gotten in months. It's crazy. It's very stimulating. While poking around the website for contact information, I stumbled across a link for an even older version of the website, used exclusively for trade shows. And it is glorious. After months of dead ends and no new developments, the bit-crushed EDM and pre-rendered 3D graphics reminded me exactly what I was fighting for. From here, we can see the theater had been pushed more heavily as a marketing tool before it was purely a pop-up amusement attraction. But more importantly, we get a small glimpse at what the in-game graphics actually looked like. Pulsating links with the promise of sample animations and informational brochures are, of course, all dead. The only other notable leads are within the media attention page, where they hint at one or more news broadcasts featuring the theater. If these broadcasts exist online, I was unable to find them. With this new discovery in hand, and what I believe to be Randy Sprout's current day email, I reached out. So you were hired specifically to run the theater?
Right. So everyone is in the VR thing, right?
Yeah.
And you basically take turns being in the VR thing and running everything else. Like there's not anyone who works the desk or, mans the equipment. It's everybody does everything. Worst case scenario days where there is one person and you're seating the people and getting them all ready. And then you're running into the back and doing the thing and hoping that people didn't come mess around. Because at some point I remember doing that on like a Saturday because like 2 people called in and literally running and while I'm doing the screen, right, waiting until it's a cutaway scene without me in it and running to get a toddler and run up and cross the boundaries and was climbing the things because of course the people when they play the game are stomping and waving and doing whatever it is you've told them to do, right? Because that stuff's scripted. You can kind of just do whatever you want. And so there's this little kid climbing and they can't see him because they're wearing headsets.
So the games have branching paths depending on audience performance. Who or what decides the branching paths exactly? What are the mechanics behind that?
Okay, so to my knowledge, they're not really branching paths. They're just different interpretations of the same path.
Oh.
So it's ad-libbed. So if, you got kind of a wet audience that is not interacting, right?
Okay.
Then it becomes more you-based, right?
Okay.
It's also like what you're leading up to do. Like if you're asking them to gallop the horse or whatever, and they're not galloping the horse, then you're going to get a joke about them not galloping the horse.
Okay.
So there wasn't any way to, at least not in any of the versions we have. I don't know how many games there were out there, only the ones that, like I said, we ran. But the game itself is all pre-recorded. And you hit play, it goes through them. Like, it doesn't even stop. It would, like, crash the server to, try to hit pause in the middle of the game. So there's not really any deviating. It's pre-recorded.
Right.
They're inserting the VR person into the video with the green screen. So it could be anything you want that fits in the thing, so.
I just remember the memory of riding the minecart and the you hit a bumpy road and then, oh no, the prospector's about to fall. Reach out and grab him. Out and grab him or he's going to fall. And
and you think you can either save him or not, but nope, it's all pre-recorded.
So he would fall every time.
Yeah, there wasn't any variance. So.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
I had this guilt with me all these years and it wasn't my fault. This is crazy. This is blowing my worldview of the what I had previously thought. Do you think the games are still out there somewhere in a disc or in a hard drive in a warehouse?
Unless it was part of their licensing agreement to return the discs, I can't imagine that they're not out there somewhere.
Now we wait. I'm sure Randy is just a busy guy. Let's try Susan Sprout's email. Her insight would be just as good as Randy's. While I'm waiting on a lead, I guess it's worth mentioning another piece of obscure virtual reality lost media from the early 2000s. Starting in 1998, Disney had opened up a new indoor interactive theme park known as Disney Quest, which consisted of several high-tech attractions, two of which utilizing an early form of virtual reality. I don't believe I've ever visited Disney Quest, and Disney's plans to build a chain of Disney Quests around the country fell flat. However, either due to it being so underutilized in its current location, or perhaps due to them having additional units made in preparation for their ill-fated chain, Aladdin's Magic Carpet Ride, for a time, was operating in Epcot. It was there that I experienced my second journey into the virtual world. Footage of Aladdin and their other VR game, Ride the Comics, exist online, but knowing Disney, the hardware and the experiences they provided are gone for good. Oddly enough, I was given a reading assignment in high school, a real-life story about a professor diagnosed with a terminal disease coming to terms with his eventual death. At some point in the book, the professor explains how he had helped lead a team in developing the Aladdin Magic Carpet VR ride. Reading that book back then made me think, wow, it is a small world after all. Of course, the professor passed away long before I read his book, but it was still one of the most engaging things I was forced to read in school. Wish I could remember what that book was called. Oh hey, there it is, the last Alright, so it's probably safe to assume that Randy Sprout is still alive. He's got a LinkedIn account, albeit inactive since 2022. Something tells me he's not going to make a business connection with a little cartoon man on the internet. But what if I were to create an alternate account and disguise myself as an influential business person? Ho 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 ho, delightfully
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Help. 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 Virtual immersion patents make odd journey from ham on rye to Virtual Immersion Technologies, a Texas NPA managed by Eric Stammel, filed suits against 3 purveyors of online adult entertainment. The new complaints assert a single virtual reality entertainment patent. That's it! That's the Ham on Rye Theater! But who is Virtual Immersion Technologies? Why do they have the theater's patent? And who is Eric Stammel? According to RPX Insight, Virtual Immersion Technologies acquired all of Ham on Rye's assets over the course of a few years, and ever since then, they've been filing patent infringement cases against dozens of companies who have been involved with modern VR, including some big names like Microsoft, Coca-Cola, Disney, and VRChat, as well as a few aforementioned adult entertainment companies. But VRChat, how does a free-to-play virtual reality game infringe on the Ham on Rye Theater? Well, if you've made a VR system that creates 3-way communication between a participant, a live and/or pre-recorded performer, and a virtual reality environment, Virtual Immersion Technologies technically has the legal grounds to file a patent infringement case against you. Eric Stammel is part of a company that specializes in monetizing NPE patents. Simply put, an NPE is somebody who created or owns a patent but doesn't intend on using it themselves. Instead, they charge other people to use it. I didn't realize it before now, but is the reason Randy and Susan haven't contacted me back about the Ham on Rye Theater because they are not legally obligated to? Randy's current active company, 3DI3, isn't just any IP licensing company. 3DI3 is Virtual Immersion Technologies. Why it's listed under a different name on his LinkedIn, I'm not sure, but these accolades can't be a coincidence. Randy Sprout has had interactive multimedia VR in his pocket this whole time, at least until the patent expired in 2022, as all patents do after a 20-year period, which means the Ham on Rye Theater is now public domain. This explains why Randy hasn't updated his LinkedIn page for a few years. Maybe he and Susan have simply retired, with no real desire to talk about such an outdated project. But that begs the question, if the theater is public domain, then what about the software? The games? Are they too public domain? For the sake of argument, let's assume they are all part of the Ham on Rye public domain system. Is withholding this software illegal? Let's assume we do get legally ordained access to the raw software data. Can we practically access this data when all of its proprietary hardware is long gone? Is it illegal to withhold public domain, even if there's no way to use it anymore? Is it illegal to withhold public domain that nobody cares about? Of course not. Who cares?
But what a beautiful day it is.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. A little bit warm, but I mean, good.
An action adventure.
Everything right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Where are you putting it? Are you putting it online or?
Probably gonna like archive it, you know?
Okay. Yeah, memories.
Does anybody remember there being a thing there, like right next to this? Right there. That building right there. It used to have like a virtual reality game kind of thing.
Yeah, I do.
And it was like a mine to Wild West thing?
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, I kind of missed that. It was really neat. Oh, cool, we get right on. Oh man, I love this ride.
That's a duck! That's a duck! Oh! That's a big duck!
We went on the haunted ride, and I killed more ghosts than you.
It's a bitch.
Yeah. And I also found Wiener Man.
I'll take it. This is Wiener Man for you all.
Oh man, fun times.
Well, here goes nothing. If you are as interested in the Ham on Rye Virtual Reality Theater as I am, you can find a link in the video description to a file containing some of the most interesting pieces of media about the theater I've discovered, including, but not limited to, articles, 3D renders, this scan of a promotional print ad that I bought from eBay, and so much more! Additionally, if you are part of a niche community that might enjoy or even remember experiencing the theater, please consider sharing this video. Better yet, if you have material about the theater, whether it's videos or images, post them. Please! Hashtag HamOnRyeVR, and make sure to tag me. Enormous thanks to Angela for supporting this video. There will be an extended cut of our interview on my second channel. There were quite a few interesting tidbits that I had to cut from this video to preserve the pacing. If you'd like to join my humble community, I'm always posting about what I'm working on in my Discord. You can find that link in the description too. I read through the last lecture again for the video, and it's still as good as I remember. Go pick up a copy at your local half-price books, because they've got plenty. If I had a nickel for every time a guy named Randy created a virtual reality game that I played as a child, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? You like that?
Yeah. That's really good.